What's going on, everyone? Today we are going to be talking about late round steals you can get over on Underdog Fantasy. One at each position, one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, and I'm throwing a little bonus to you guys at the very end of the video, so be sure to stay tuned till the very end. Before we hop into it though, if you guys could, go smash that like button. I'm answering every comment, so you guys have any questions related to fantasy, dynasty, anything, please let me know down below, and subscribe to the channel. It is the #1 way to support me. It's completely free, and you can always change your mind later. With that though, guys, let's hop right into it with our first player, and that is Trey Lance. And with Trey Lance, yes, we really don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback at the NFL level. We don't even know if he's going to be a good quarterback at the NFL level. This is somebody who has only started 4 games. And in those 4 games, one was a monsoon last season, which you could see right over here. One is where he went down and was out for the season, so we really never got to see Trey Lance as to whether or not he was a good quarterback or not. But every single top 5 pick at the NFL level has gotten at least 25 starts. Even Jamarcus Russell got 25 starts at the NFL level, so we should see Trey Lance starting somewhere. Even if it's not with the 49ers, he should be starting somewhere, and that gives him a nice floor, unless he is the biggest bust of all time, which Trey Lance could be. But I think the odds on that are pretty low, especially for the fact that he is coming off the board at an ADP of 175 at a price point of the quarterback 24. I am absolutely fine swinging for the fences on Trey Lance at the quarterback 24, considering he most likely will be starting at least somewhere this season. Even if it is not with the 49ers, he does have the ability to get traded to a team like the Titans and start day 1 for them. Not only that, the 49ers have been trying to bolster his trade value, saying he's significantly improved as a passer this past season. And this might not even be for the fact that they want to bolster his trade value. They might just actually really like Trey Lance, the guy that they picked 3rd overall a mere 2 years ago. Brock Purdy getting injured in the championship game bolsters his case even more to start, because Brock Purdy will not be available for most of the offseason, meaning it is just Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold, we all know, is not a great quarterback at the NFL level. So I'm absolutely fine going out and drafting Trey Lance here at the price point of 175. Knowing that he probably will be starting somewhere, even if it is not with the 49ers, I'm absolutely fine taking a shot on him, especially considering his rushing floor. I mean, this is somebody who could rush for 700 yards this year and be absolutely fine. I would compare his ceiling to somebody like a Jalen Hurts, where Jalen Hurts maybe isn't rushing for 1,100-1,200 yards like a guy like Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson, but Trey Lance can still easily rush for 700-800 yards and sling, 20 touchdowns this season, considering he's had 2 seasons to develop as a quarterback and now a 3rd offseason to develop as a quarterback. Well, yes, there are concerns. I think this confusion with Trey Lance allows you to get him at a significantly cheaper price point than you would get with most other quarterbacks here, especially the quarterback 24. I mean, this is somebody whose ceiling is absolutely off the charts for fantasy, and you're getting him as a late round quarterback. Most of these quarterbacks who can run the football now are going very high in fantasy drafts. I mean, look at Justin Fields. He's now the quarterback 5 over on Underdog Fantasy. And Trey Lance is the quarterback 24, so I am absolutely fine taking a swing for the fences over on Trey Lance. If it doesn't work out, whatever, you picked him at pick 175. It's not really that big of a deal, not going to hinder your team much, but I'm fine taking him as your 2nd or 3rd quarterback even, with very, very high upside. Either way, let's move on to my running back, and that is Jaylen Warren. And yeah, Jaylen Warren is a direct backup to Najee Harris, but I love what Jaylen Warren was able to bring to the table last year. I mean, look at this depth chart behind Jaylen Warren. You have Master Teague and Anthony McFarland. Neither of these 2 guys are going to be serious threats to Jaylen Warren to take this number 2 running back spot. And if Najee Harris were to go down, Jaylen Warren would immediately be stepping into a role that could allow him to be a 300-plus touch running back this season, as we've seen with Najee Harris in years past. Furthermore, the Steelers' O-line has been bolstered a ton. They went from a bottom 5 unit in the NFL to now about a league average unit, grabbing Broderick Jones. So I think that, for one, the Steelers as an offense have improved. Kenny Pickett going into year 2 as well. But 2, Najee Harris is a player that has had over 300 touches each of the past 2 seasons. And if we are being realistic here, that type of workload for a running back could easily lead to an injury at the position. Now, Najee Harris has not missed a single game yet. Even last year, despite being injured, he was still playing every single game. But if a significant injury were to happen to Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren would immediately be stepping into this role where he'd have 20-plus touches a game. And I think if you're getting that at the running back position, almost no matter what, you are going to be getting decent fantasy production. And at a price point of an ADP of 154, I am absolutely fine taking the shot on Jaylen Warren as your running back 4, your running back 5. If things blow up for Najee Harris and he is to miss the season, you immediately get a middle of the pack to low end RB2 for the rest of the season. So I think Jaylen Warren is a great buy right now over on Underdog Fantasy. The next player I want to talk about is John Metchie, and I know John Metchie has not played at all this last season, but this is still a player that was drafted in the second round of the NFL draft that the Texans traded up to get to try and bolster this offense. There really is nobody else in this offense. I mean, you have Nico Collins, who I actually think is a pretty decent wide receiver in his own right, and somebody I was considering giving this undervalued spot here, and then they go out and draft Nathaniel Dell as well, who is super tiny, but CJ Stroud really wanted, and he was a third-round pick, which is pretty enticing for Nathaniel Dell. But either way, John Metchie, the highest draft capital of these players, and is now coming in to potentially be the wide receiver one in this offense. At Alabama, he was a great wide receiver. Somebody who broke out in his sophomore season at Alabama with 55 receptions for over 900 yards, despite Devonta Smith being one of the best college wide receivers, if not the best college wide receiver we've ever seen, having over 1,800 yards. John Metchie was still able to carve out a pretty significant role for himself. And then in 2021, he takes a step up even further and puts up over 1,100 yards, despite Jamison Williams going very high in the NFL draft as well and putting up over 1,500 yards. So John Metchie has historically operated as a great wide receiver too in whatever offense he's been in. And while, yes, it is a little concerning that he's not playing the NFL this past season, he does get CJ Stroud, a rookie quarterback, who we don't know if he's going to be great at the NFL level. But John Metchie's going ridiculously late in drafts right now. He's going off right now as the wide receiver 82 with an ADP of 187, and I am absolutely willing to take a chance on a guy with good draft capital to the position, a guy who was great for Alabama, a school historically known for producing NFL level talent, a guy who, despite tearing his ACL, still went in the second round of the NFL draft where the Texans traded up to get him. I am fine taking John Metchie as a flyer, as one of your last picks, as your wide receiver 7 for your team. I think John Metchie could be great this year. And while, yes, there are question marks, there's going to be question marks with every single player in this range. And John Metchie has reportedly come back just as strong, if not stronger, from his leukemia. So I am fine buying into John Metchie. Yes, there are question marks, but again, there are question marks with all these players. That's why I'm taking John Metchie here as one of my flyer wide receivers late in drafts. Either way, let's move on to my next player, and that is David Njoku. And well, yeah, there are a ton of question marks with David Njoku as well, and he is going a lot higher than the rest of these guys, an ADP of 103 as the tight end 9 off the board. I think David Njoku is a great player to go up and pair up with the rest of this Browns offense. You can go out and get him and Deshaun Watson late in drafts and have him as your tight end 1 and quarterback 1, and I think that is absolutely fine. David Njoku steps into a situation where it could easily be the number 2 target in this offense behind Amari Cooper, and if you are getting the volume you got with Deshaun Watson before he elected to sit out, that is great. I mean, Deshaun Watson led the league in passing his last year before sitting out and has been a top 5 fantasy quarterback every single season he's played a full season. So I am fine drafting David Njoku, somebody who's a very athletic tight end and primarily used as a pass catcher in this offense. And while his stats are not jump off the page great, his best season being 639 yards in 2018. This is somebody who's had terrible quarterback play since he came into the NFL. I mean, you had Baker Mayfield, you had Jacoby Brissett. So this is easily going to be the best quarterback of his career. And if he, again, can carve out a role as a number 2 target in this offense, I am absolutely fine taking a shot on David Njoku to be your tight end 1 or even a high-end tight end 2, since you can get him at pick 103. After this and after Pat Freiermuth, the tight ends sort of fall off. You're sort of taking dart throws on these unproven guys like Chigo Okonkwo, Greg Dulcich, who I like, don't get me wrong, but I would rather have the proven commodity in David Njoku, somebody who will now be stepping into an offense with an elite quarterback. So that's why I'm taking David Njoku at an ADP of 103. I think he is a good commodity to own and somebody who could absolutely burst onto the scene with an insane ceiling this upcoming season. Either way, I promised one bonus player. I'm going to give it to you. It is Rashee Rice. And yeah, I know Rashee Rice, not a great prospect in terms of his prospect profile, but at the same time, the Chiefs do elect to draft him in the second round, going 55th overall. And, well, Andy Reid has missed on these offensive players in the past. I mean, look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Look at Sky Moore this past season. We can't just look at these past failures and say that is exactly what's going to happen with Rashee Rice. This wide receiver room is absolutely desolate. I mean, you have Kadarius Toney, who's great on a yards per route run basis, but not somebody who has been able to show that he can stay on the field for the long term and really hasn't produced at the NFL level to the caliber that we would like. He's going very high in fantasy drafts and ADP right now of 70, and I personally am avoiding him at that price point. But there really is nobody else in this offense. You have Valdez-Scantling, a career burner type guy who's not really going to be utilized very heavily in this offense. Sky Moore, they proved they did not want to utilize him heavily. Kadarius Toney's really the only other threat for targets at the wide receiver position. Of course, you have Kelsey as well. But this is an offense that has Patrick Mahomes. Enough said here. Patrick Mahomes, a great quarterback, arguably the best quarterback of all time. In my opinion, the best quarterback of all time. So I'm fine taking a shot on Rashee Rice at pick 128 to be your wide receiver 5, knowing that if Patrick Mahomes builds rapport with him, that Rashee Rice could be a middle of the pack wide receiver 2 with upside in this offense that is going to score a ton of touchdowns. Again, Rashee Rice's prospect profile was not that great, but he did test very well at the combine, having a 9.55 RAS score, and he did also dominate during his last season at SMU, having over 1,300 yards, so I'm fine taking a swing for the fences on Rashee Rice. I know there are safer players in this range, but I think Rashee Rice provides you with the ceiling that a lot of the players in this range simply don't have, and that's why I'm taking the swing for the fences upside with Rashee Rice here. Either way, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, go smash that like button, and let me know who are your late round flyers, because there are just so many players you could take a shot on, so many different people. And subscribe to the channel. Turn that notification bell on. It is the #1 way to support me. It's completely free. It would mean the absolute world to me, guys. With that, though, as always, have a good day, a good night, and a good life. High five, guys.